job was much bigger. It had, they were proposing taking out heat mains, because all of the infrastructure of the building is attached to the bottom of that roof
Hanging off
structure.
the roof.
So when we showed up, the idea was, oh boy, we're taking this whole system out. What we brought to the table is a little different thing. Hey guys, how about we maintain that bottom cord of that wood truss and cut it off? So what that left them with was their drywall lid, all their heating system, all of that. So they were able to keep that. Then we blocked up in the middle, put that new truss on, and that bottom cord was supported by the new truss. So what it did was it shaved literally millions of dollars off
They were in
of that
they had a
project.
real problem. Yeah, and Keith's right, we were able to save all the ceilings and with it the infrastructure, because it would have been millions to tear that all out.
Yeah, it was.
We came up with, the guys did, came up with a very clever plan to shore that and support it, and then systematically go through the building. And what we did was elevate, when I was talking about blocking up the roof bearing, they came up with a very creative way to raise the roof structure by 6. If you go to Belknap County, it used to have little E-lines like this. Now it's very meaty, but it looks kind of cool. It gives the building a little more,
More of a commercial.
more of a commercial solid look to it. But the reason for that was their solution of building a little higher. We just jacked it up 6 or 8 inches and built right over everything and supported it. So the solution was a good one. I mean, it worked, but it was.
Can they get in underneath that roof that you
Yes, they can. They can walk in. We put in a catwalk system through the whole thing, so they can get underneath that all. They have access to the whole place, which they didn't have before.
Yes,
I have here EJE, I don't know if you've
EJE.
seen EJE Architects Report from July 13th, 2009. At that time, it was just, they were gonna save 15,000 square feet, the 4 wings were going, and there's quite a lengthy report on the needs and the requirements, et cetera, of that 15,000 square foot area. Have you seen that report? I know you'll do your own, but.
No, I have seen that report.
You have seen it?
Yep, absolutely. No, it was very helpful, and I think that's originally where I started to become more aware of that building, familiar with it, because of the idea of, did it have a use? And if so, what was it, before it just got wiped out? You may have heard, some of you know, in our budget currently in the nursing home, we have a $100,000 line item. And the reason there's a $100,000 line item for demo is at the time, I don't think any of us really knew whether we were just gonna wipe that building out or what. So we've got kind of a plug number that was put into the budget, knowing we'd have to do something, but we didn't know if we were taking it all down or to be determined, you know. Had we taken it all down, the thought was always to, you know, keep at least a boiler room or keep something for the pellet system. I think after that study and so forth, I shouldn't speak for the commissioners, but I think the idea was there's some value there if the county has a use for it. That the building isn't just something that should be taken down. If you have a need, then there's, you know, some decent space there. So.
Yes, and if you bring a copy of that budget bit of the $100,000 that we went through to be able to figure out what we were going to do with that for the 27th, June 27th. Having a delegation meeting on the 27th. And the idea is that maybe the commissioners can come forward with a options of what it is you want, if you have time to do that, of what it is you want to do with the old nursing home, so that what we can do is get it out on the table, then the delegation can discuss and see what we're going to do and how we're going to go with it. If we are or if we're not, so that we stop the rumors and we, you know, figure out what we're going to do.
anybody else?
Just, if I may, in line with what the representatives just said, I think there's gotta be 3 options. One, just the 15,000 square feet, one with the 15,000 plus 1 wing, or 15,000 plus 2 wings.
Yeah. You've seen the cost of tearing it down, right?
Yes,
That's
I have that,
earlier.
yes.
Right now, we've got enough money to take 2 down, which was the original plan. If we go 3 or 4, then we gotta have some more money.
The original plan as of when?
Original thought was, when we budgeted for that 100,000, was to tear down the 2 wings.
One other thing I didn't mention, I'd like to, if I can, is that I think is an advantage again to you folks is that we can pretty much offer a blanket warranty that ties all this together. I mean, because you have integration between buildings, if we were to do this other building for you, they kind of separate contracts, separate warranties, but there's really no gap. They're all, you know, if that makes makes sense, they would tie together. I mean, it's uniformly, I guess, covered, if you would, building to building.
Mr. Chairman, why did you say we need to raise more money? It says here, 2 wings, 858.5. If we go for 4 wings.
If we go for
If
more.
we go for 3 wings, it's 127,000, we only have 100.
I have 180, oh, that's it, but isn't that as if it has asbestos?
It's a pretty good chance, according to Always Reckon, when I talked to them on the phone, that it's in the tar in the roof.
Very
Oh,
likely.
okay.
It was used very commonly in that type of roof system, so very likely that it would.
Is that asbestos restricted or enclosed?
It's typically, in built-up roofs like that, it's typically the fibers, they were used as a binder in the adhesives that hold the layers together. That's an
So
old.
can anything be given off from that asbestos?
Not from what I've been told, no. It's all contained within that mastic, and that's one of the reasons it's actually less expensive than other abatement might be inside a building, because it's not friable, I guess is the word, it doesn't float around, right? What it is the binder in that black adhesive in those old hot mop roofs, I can't even say it. They used to do the layers, and they would, they heat it up in the old pots, the old stinky pots, and they'd spread it out. That's most likely what that system is. And
I just have a, Randy, now you were saying that there might be an option to be able to leave the roof as is, maybe build up and then put a pitched roof on it.
if you're not demoing it, if you're gonna demo it, then it obviously has to go away. If
Yeah.
you're gonna build over it, that component should be able to stay.
Okay, so that.
Unless it's moldy, or if it's got mold issues and stuff, different
Then we
animal.
have to do that.
If it's dry, and it doesn't test for mold and that sort of thing, then if we're just putting a pitched roof over it, I would suggest we leave it, leave it
Okay.
right intact.
And I have to ask, does UNH, does the university would you find out if they would have a problem with leaving the tar that has some asbestos in it? That, instead of taking it out, we would, say we would do 2 wings, the black stuff would have to come off, the 2 wings would have to abate that.
Yeah.
But if we kept the core, is there anything in, because,
It is very commonly left on buildings.
Okay.
It is very commonly left, but it's not a bad question to
I know,
ask.
it's
People
a
are-
question to ask the university, we don't need to,
The
not.
person who could answer that better than I would be the hygienist or whatever, who would test it for us, but they can also give you the latest and greatest on
Yeah.
exposure
There is
and
no
what's
mold to
allowed
it,
and all that
yeah.
sort of thing too.
We are having it tested, they were here Saturday.
Okay, great.
Took some core samples and sent it to Boston to be analyzed.
Did they find mold in the same samples? Would they be able to?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably be a separate.
It has to be.
Because they'd want to chase areas that have leaked, they see, the mold's gonna appear if it's wet, if
Yeah.
there's a wet area.
Yeah, and we have had wet areas.
And if that's the case, that's probably more a targeted thing, you'd abate just the areas that are wet.
Yeah, it's not the whole roof that's wet.
Right.
There's certain sections that leak.
Mm.
Just to kind of diffuse the mold issue a little bit, we have very extensive state testing done on that nursing home, almost continuously, it seems, since the building has gotten in bad shape. I know that there was at least one complete survey of the building by the state health department last year. I think if there was a mold issue, that would have come up.
We would have had a deficiency on it if it.
We would have had a deficiency, we would have been put on notice, we would have had to remedy the problem.
Because I know that when we were talking, I think it was Jim Martin, wasn't it, that was very concerned about whether we would just go over it or whether we'd have to take down the second roof to figure out what was in there.
Yeah,
I think that was probably,
you can't get in there, there's no
3 to 4
crawl
years.
space, only 18 inches, and then you got
yeah,
steel
we
rafters that
didn't know
are in
what
there.
was there.
A lot of the old roof is a lightweight concrete system too, it's concrete poured, so you really can't get at it from underneath.
Okay.
You have to get it from above.
Okay. Good enough.
For the mold, I think they're gonna drill up through the concrete.
Oh, to get to test it,
Yes.
but I mean, to physically get a body up in there, you gotta go
Yeah.
from the top.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions, comments? If not,
Was mold stated in the
Yep.
certificate of need? Was there a problem with mold and
No.
when we had our certificate of need?
No.
no.
Okay, because I was under the assumption that was our problem with our nursing home, why we had to build a new nursing home.
No,
Mold?
no,
Yes.
it was areas, corridors too close, 2 people to a room,
There was some
4 people
handling.
sharing a toilet.
There was some
That was the
handling
issue.
issues with air movement and stuff, but I don't recall a mold issue.
There was a thought there might be, but we did not know that.
Question on the mold. If there's a concrete roof, there's another roof above it, and the mold is in the top roof, and you have to drill through the concrete to check it. Concrete's pretty much got that locked in, so does it really matter whether there's mold in there or not?
I'm not an expert on that one. I know enough to be dangerous, I know who to call to test it. Mold's not my expertise, but that makes sense. I mean, it's not really external to the building, but it kind of is. There's a slab between it and the old roof, so I would think that the exposure would be minimal, but again, I'm not an expert on mold itself and how it acts.
I know that was one place where we looked at and that might have been in Ossipee somewhere. There was a bad issue that extension couldn't go in because it was too much
Very
money.
high. That was the old basement of the old courthouse.
Yeah.
Basement of our old courthouse.
No.
The one here?
One
No,
in
no,
Ossipee.
The one in the village, which was ours.
Oh, which
And we sold it to the Historical Society. Right.
It's when we worked with the historical.
That's where the mold came from. That's where,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
We had a situation, didn't we have a situation where we had a bladder
Yes.
actually suspended?
Yes.
What happened to that water that was being collected there?
The bladder has been removed. That's one of the leaks that I've been unable to fix as of yet. I've been chasing leaks there all winter, and I've got most of them patched, but that's one that's still leaking, but the bladder's not there.
And there was only one particular place
Yeah,
in there.
that was in the utility room, it wasn't in any resident room.
Okay, so it still leaks, but what do you do? Just put
It's
a
not as
bucket
bad
under
as it was leaking
Just
before.
put a bucket under it instead of the bladder?
It's just a little bit of water that runs down the wall, takes out a ceiling tile every once in a while.
Okay,
It was a lot worse.
yeah, I remember the bladder.
Is that in one of the wings that would be
That's
raised?
in the ceiling, no, it's not in one of the ones that's gonna be raised
Okay.
as of yet.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Bonnet Page and Stone people, for your presentation, and we'll get back to you when we make a decision.
Okay. You know we'd love to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Be early.
Yes.
Question for Ann with the cooperative extension. We move forward, we renovate a building. Do you have all the furnishings in place? You'll bring all your furnishings? Are we buying carpet as part of this envelope? Are we paying for phone systems to be retrofitted into this space? What are we looking at for you to go into that building?
We would have all our own office equipment, desks, chairs, tables, etc. We would ask the county to pick up, we would put in a request to update, we have for telephone wiring and computer wiring. The university does it, or has done it, when we move to this new space. I have to check on that, to be 100% certain.
So you'll check and see that all of your wiring for your internal
Right.
needs are taken care of. And that is the extension when you've gone into a place, is it just been an envelope walls and you've gone from there? And assuming it has a carpet, flooring
Yeah.
of some type?
It's had
and
carpet,
then you take
but
it from there?
the old place in Conway above the theater was mostly tile.
We put the floor down. Agents put the floor down. Tile.
So I'm just wondering that we work into whatever expense there is, what it is we need to provide then to bring them in.
Yes.
And then that has to be figured into how much you're spending.
There's a new phone system going into the new nursing home, so the old phone system that's in the current nursing home is gonna remain there,
Yeah.
as well as all the internet connections that are
Say
there.
that again, what's gonna happen to the old phone system in the old nursing home? I didn't hear that.
It's being replaced by a new phone system in the new nursing home. So there'll be a phone system in the old nursing home administration office, which is that area which is the primary focus of the cooperative extension, as well as the internet connections that the current nursing home has.
Okay,
And I'm
so-
not certain there'd be a lot of additional expense on that end. Obviously, the flooring and all of the internal structure are gonna be